Hello, everybody, you lucky people out there. It's My Music with Graham Cofe and Chloé Caroline. But before we get talking, here's a quick video from our wonderful sponsors, Analog Trash. Do enjoy it. It's pink and black, just like this border that we've got around us now. And they are promoting independent music. So get down there, have a look at the website, see what you think. Hello, how are you?
I'm good. I was bopping to the video.
It's got a groove, hasn't it? It's definitely got a groove. Sorry, everyone, if you heard a little ping in the background there. That was the lottery winner's manager just trying to sort out times for another interview. Oh, whoops, gave the game away. Tell me, young lady, you've achieved so much already in your young life. When did this desire to fill the world with music start?
I mean, I have been singing. I know a lot of people are like, I've been singing my whole life, but I really have been singing my whole life since I could talk. I started writing songs at 6 years old on the piano. And, obviously I was 6, so I didn't really know what I was doing. I just knew that I loved it and it felt good
just
when
like
I did it.
Just the sound and the feel of it.
Yeah, and I was always really drawn to music that, was way past my time. You know what I mean? Like, as far as like where I was, in the world, I was a little girl, and I'm like understanding lyrics from like Fleetwood Mac for some reason.
Wow.
So I've been always kind of an old soul, and I don't know. It was something that I felt called to do. And then when I was 11, I got really sick. And when I was sick, it kind of became my outlet. It became my friend. And I started posting on Facebook, and people would respond saying that they related to it. And at first, I was doing it for me. I was doing it as my therapy. And then the fact that other people could relate to it kind of was just everything to me. And I was like, this is what I need to do. I don't want anybody else to feel alone. I want them to feel related to. I want them to feel understood. I want to bring people together.
We won't go into it in great detail, but when you say sick, I mean, how sick? I mean, you were like bedridden sick.
Oh, yeah. So I was in the hospital. I had to be taken out of my 6th grade year, going to independent study. And it was a virus and some other things were going on, and they couldn't figure out what was going on for a while. So that's kind of, that was a journey in itself. And had to be isolated from people. They weren't sure what was going on.
I was going to ask you then, with that, then the last couple of years prior, when COVID hit, must have been kind of terrifying in a way for you as well, kind of like going back there again.
It is really interesting you say that, because I remember definitely having some of those moments where I was like, this is interesting. The world feels like it stopped again, because I remember just like, it really gave me a lot of perspective on life as a young girl, and really realizing what was important. And for me, it was being around the people I loved, and it wasn't the material things, and it was getting to go outside and play and run, and to feel like caged like that again was definitely very difficult. But again, I poured it into my music. Like, it was such a healing time for me in general. And so in some ways I'm grateful for it, for sure.
Yeah. So, because you were already on that journey path, etc. But and a lot of people out of COVID, came out of the other side of it thinking, I've now got to do what I was born to do, rather than just what I am doing, because life's too short, and we've suddenly realized it. But for you, it was almost like an extra boost, was it, to go, right, now doing it?
Yeah. I think for me, it was a chance to just kind of come home to myself again, because for so long, especially as an independent artist, I mean, you're juggling so many different things at once. It's go, 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 nonstop, trying to do it all. And I was forced to just be with myself, be with, the people that I was around, my family. At the time, I had just moved from Nashville back to LA, where I'm from. I had ended a really long-term relationship. And so it was like a lot of healing and learning how to just, really truly internalize everything I was going through, and write again. And I'd written for so long with other people again, prior to this. And before that, like when I was younger, obviously I wrote by myself, and I kind of had stopped doing that for whatever reason. Like it was almost like I wouldn't let myself. I had to constantly be going into a session or something like that. And so it forced me to just sit there and just write, and just like have the freedom and the time to do that.
You said right from the beginning that you were put on this earth to do this, or you know, that there's obviously a spiritual side to you. How much of it is kind of, do you think, from a higher power or outside of your control, or how much of it is do you feel is like you manifesting this stuff, etc.?
Yeah, I think it's a little bit of both. I think for sure, without a doubt, just the fact that music has, I don't know, just again always been something that I've understood in a way that I shouldn't from that young of an age. Like, it's definitely like, that's not me, and sometimes I'll sit there at the piano or with my guitar, and I swear to you, like, there's just like a melody and lyrics that like pop out of nowhere, and I can't take credit for it. Sometimes I'll be sitting there and it's like it's very well thought out, but I think for sure I try to be open to what God, the universe, working through me however possible. And
I love musicians and their different take on where music comes from. I think it's really, really interesting, and we've spoken about it on the show before with artists. I read Tori Amos's book, who was an artist who I very fortunately got to meet and even play a piano at one stage. But and she talks about, the songs are there, and she literally has to be in the place to find the song, and the song comes, she's just channeling the song. And a lot of artists will talk about, it's not really their song, they're just channels for this.
It's so true, which is why it's so important to like allow yourself to be in the state to receive that. And it is a difficult thing, again, like when you're trying to juggle so much, to allow yourself to just be in the creative state of mind where you're just flowing and not trying to control it or dictate that it needs to be a hit song the way somebody else maybe would write a hit song or whatever, a TikTok video, but allow yourself to just like sit in the moment, and that's when the magic happens, I think. And also it's when you align with people that are supposed to create with you, I feel like, when you're kind of sitting in that energy.
And you say also as well in your bio, etc. You want to uplift people. You want to sort of raise people up with your music, and your music has definitely got kind of that uplifting feel. I always really admire musicians that can write poppy, uplifting songs in keys that actually are like quite jolly, etc. But actually get some quite dark or deep lyrics in there as well, which you manage to do, because that's hard.
It is hard.
I mean, as someone that went through, I still love them, but someone that went through my sort of like Robert Smith, The Cure phase of like, it's, I'm not saying it's easy to write songs that are quite miserable, but it's easier to write songs that are quite miserable with miserable sort of words, etc. Whereas actually doing it well, where it's it's quite a joyful song, without it sounding cheesy. Now that's the key, isn't it?
Oh gosh, yes. That is really
how
the
do you
hardest
avoid
thing.
the cheese?
Gosh, I ask myself that all the time. I think a lot of it is one, like the delivery, obviously, how you present it and how you go about actually singing the line, but also like I try to remember when I'm writing the lyric, like, is this something that I would actually say, for one, and two, is it true? Like, is it true to me? And if it is, then like sometimes like that cheese is actually so universal and people resonate with it, and it's not actually cheesy, it's just true.
Okay, it's not cheesy, it's true, so it's fine.
Yeah, it is really hard though, especially if it's a song that is a lot more broad, I would say. So I try to kind of do like the mix of like having maybe the chorus or something be a little bit more broad and then the verses are a little bit more personal. And when they're a little bit more personal, it's a little bit easier to stop being so cheese.
Yeah. You mentioned sort of Fleetwood Mac there earlier on, and you're an old soul in terms of the kind of music that you gravitated towards.
Yeah.
Was there, for a start, I want to know, was there anyone that kind of encouraged that as well? Because you've got to actually have someone initially when you're younger, you've got to have someone older introducing you to that older music, because otherwise that doesn't happen.
Yeah. Yeah,
so,
definitely.
So who was to blame? Right?
Definitely my dad. He is a singer, still a singer-songwriter himself, but also just a huge music lover. And so I grew up listening to everything, literally, from like the Rolling Stones to Janis Joplin and Karen Carp, like all the people. And then like new artists too. Like he always was finding and discovering new artists, and so that was really fun too, to kind of get the music that was just coming out, and then also like listening to.
Who was the first artist then? Because there's always an artist who goes beyond just someone that you love listening to, who you really connected with in terms of the artistry, and went, oh my gosh, that's me. Yeah, or that's where I want to be.
Again, I'll always say Stevie Nicks, definitely, but I think too, as a little girl, I really loved Avril Lavigne, and I loved her. It was so real. Like her melodies were incredible. I loved her huge choruses, and I loved the fact that she kind of had this, again, like those really immediate melodies, but also had these lyrics that actually like meant something, and yet were relatable too. They were super conversational at the same time.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think Avril was one for sure.
Yeah, I think Avril's, especially in her growing up phase, is kind of underrated, really. In as much as, I do think that there's been a lot of lyrics from punk boy band type, artists that, talk about that kind of, growing up on the, when I say on the street, kind of being a sort of skater and enjoying that kind of counterculture and everything else. But you didn't really ever hear a woman talking about it.
Sure, yeah, and she also just had such a great, like that, especially her first record, like had such a great combination of, she had like Skater Boy, like that fun,
and then the ballads
song, and then she had these ballads, and they lived on the same record in like such a beautiful way. So I think that's also something I still try to bring to my project, is you can have both. You can have like a really cinematic, beautiful, love or heartbreak song, and then also have something that's more fun, and also tells a story, which is so cool.
And surely as well, though, that's nice as a challenge as a singer, especially as an artist, because if you've got a good voice, a sort of pop song that's just jaunting along, there's still an art to singing that, but getting that ballad right, getting that big moment right, those big breaths, that shows depth to what you can actually physically do, right?
Sure. And everybody loves those songs they can just cry and scream to in their car.
And you're savvy as well. This is the other thing that I wanted to say to you is you're savvy, right? Because you managed to get your songs onto TV. You've managed to get your songs into, big name corporations that are using your songs, right? Did you have to do anything in particular to do that? Did you, how difficult was that? Because, every artist that I speak to out there is like, what we really need to do is get this here. But that ain't easy. That ain't easy.
No, it's not. It's a process. I mean, since the beginning, my goal has kind of always been and I say this on every podcast because it's true, but to use my creativity to my full potential. And because it drives my music too, if I can share my creativity in other ways, obviously it influences that. And so from the beginning, I was like, well, what are just some interesting ways to do that, and like, let's go for it. And I'm the type of person that like has no problem just like cold DMing people or cold emailing people and just going for it, because really you have nothing to lose. And so many people are so afraid to do that because of the rejection side of it. But you know what, like, you just don't know unless you try. And you also, like, once you make that connection, if it's a no at first, well, it might not be a no down the road, maybe it's just, you have to build more, whatever it is. And so for me, it was first kind of like building that fan base. And it's always been, creating those fans, creating those connections, and being really intentional about it. And I would take the time to find the people that liked music that I liked and message them, be like, hey, and really directly message them. And then it was so crazy, like just even responding to anything they were saying, like people would be like, well, you actually respond to me. And it blew my mind, because at that point, I didn't have as many followers as I have now, but like the fact that people just don't respond to people and they appreciate it so much. And obviously it's impossible to respond to every single person immediately. And it's definitely more difficult now, but I still do my best, because that's what builds those like individual connections. And so as I did that, I just kept aligning with different people, whether it was someone like you and, hey, Chloe, I want to play your song on my, station or whatever. And so one by one, it kind of happened. And Radio Disney was like definitely a big part of my career. That was really cool. A big highlight, I guess, at first, because I was an independent artist. And then from there, I had the opportunity to write an end title for a movie. And I'd always loved just the combination of music and cinematic media, like my whole life. I grew up in LA. My father was in the film industry as well, so right. I always loved it, and knew it was something I wanted to do. And so once I did that, I was kind of hooked. I was like, I'm writing all this different material. Why not try to like get it out there in other ways? And then with brands and stuff, again, just a lot of it was kind of at first just messaging them, hey, I really like what you're doing. Can we create in some way?
I love what you're saying. I love everything about what you're saying, because I run a social media marketing business. And it's kind of the stuff that I tell people on a day-to-day basis. I'm going to unpack what you've just said in several different ways, because one is that, let's go back to the start of that. You said, if you don't, basically you said, well, if you don't ask, you don't get, which is absolutely right, and I can relate to that, because I've always been like that myself. And I struggle when I see other people that are like, well, but we can't do this. Well, why can't you do that? Well, because that's at that level and I'm not at that level. It's like, but you won't get to that level unless you,
unless you go for it.
Unless you go for it, right? When I went off to university, here's a little story. Don't shoot me, folks. Right? Don't shoot me. They were opening a new radio station. I got to the university. They were opening a new radio station, and I thought, I really want to work on that radio station. I'd never done any radio in my life. So, but I went into the building, and I kind of, helped someone carry some equipment into the building. And I said, have you got any jobs going? And they said, oh, yeah, what can you do? And I just lied through my teeth blatantly. And I just said, editing.
Yeah. You're like, I've never edited in my life, but I think
I've never
I know what it is.
edited. And fortunately, because it was all equipment which was from Australia, not from the UK, and it was slightly different, they put everybody on a course anyway. So it was like, I was fine. It was like, well, you won't know how to use this equipment, so we'll put you on the course. And I was like, yeah, well, I'll just listen very intently now. But so, but it was great. And that was that was the start of my whole kind of radio thing, which was fine. And, over the years, I've got guests into festivals and, worked with bands and stuff like that. All stuff I shouldn't have been able to do.
Yeah.
Shouldn't have been able to do, but you do it because you are. So that's point one. The second thing is, when I listen to you as well, is I just think not only are you an accomplished artist, but you are an accomplished, you are a great businesswoman as well. And, it's part of you as the ladder steps up as well, thinking you could give back in terms of the business side of things as well as the music.
Sure. Yeah. I would love to. I mean, my goal is to be able to eventually have, my own company, or whether it's, helping other creatives, connecting other creatives. I already have a ton of ideas there.
What would it be called?
It would be called California Created.
Whoa.
And I have a whole reason for that, but
Has it got an ident?
It's got, well, I have a little website. I own the website name.
No, I mean like a little sting song, like a little California Created.
I mean, that could be
that sort of thing. Do you know what I mean?
It should. You can write it with me.
Get the keyboard out. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love things like that. So yeah, you've got to sing it. You've got to be on the,
Deal.
Actually, you should get Taylor Swift to do it. Right? You should write it. You should then get Taylor Swift to do it, just so that it's like, it's just like, I just got.
It'll be that big. It'll be that big.
That Taylor will want to do it for nothing.
Exactly. Collabs. I love it.
Go on. I was just going to say, that's kind of on your agenda as well, though, to help other people to get to, because you've done this stuff, and a lot of people are looking at you thinking, how have you done this stuff? So there's value that you've got there as well that you can then give back. Yeah.
I think for me, I have my own podcast as well. For example, it's like something that I'd been on a bunch of other people's podcasts, and I kind of thought to myself, I would love to be able to also just have these conversations on a regular basis. And again, had never run my own in my life, but that's kind of when you have something that you want to do, you just have to put yourself in it, and it's obviously it takes time and energy, but at the same time, if you just don't do it, it's not going to happen. And it doesn't, you got to let go of the idea of, well, what if no one listens, or what if it sucks? Because maybe it will, maybe at first no one will listen, but eventually somebody will, one person will. And if they're connecting with it, then it's already a win. And, same with for example, I'd never acted in my life, and I had gotten an opportunity to be in a Hallmark movie. And it was really cool because they ended up using a bunch of my songs, and it wasn't a far off role. I basically played myself. I was a singer-songwriter, but still, I'd never memorized lines, nothing like that. And I remember going into it, I had to start thinking okay, I'm not trying to be an actor. I am an actor. I didn't, I've always just called myself a singer-songwriter, but I should also just start saying I'm an actress, because if I'm going to do this, I need to wear the boots, you know,
Are you a bit like me? Mm-hmm. Are you interested? Because look, I can see a lot of things. I'm not a successful singer-songwriter, but are you interested in, as a race, communication? Because that's what drives me.
Oh yeah.
to have these conversations,
Mm-hmm.
to be involved in discussion, to try and be creative and change the narrative out there, is
Sure.
because, and actually, do you think in a way that's even more necessary now in a world that is dominated by social media, etc., which is that actually we've kind of forgotten how to communicate with each other, and it's about bringing that back and searching for truths together. Is
Yes.
that something that's really driving you?
Yeah, that's pretty much everything to me. Is
Cool.
I think as a person who has always just wanted to feel understood, and I think that's because like I relate to a lot of different types of people, and I like a lot of different things, and I've never felt like I've fit in just like one little box. And so because of that, you want to be understood, you know, and so to be able to also, yeah, I know other people feel like that too, and therefore I know that I can get along with different types of people and understand them, and to have these honest conversations is what is oftentimes missing. People just want to either talk about like the super fun stuff or the super negative stuff, or the fluff, and don't really dive in and take the time to really,
Oh yeah, we all talk on surface level all of the time, and the trouble is most of the time these days it's like that,
yeah.
you know.
You're not in the present moment at all, and I totally get it. Like it's super difficult because we're go go go, and we're so distracted, and so it really takes like being intentional to do that.
Totally.
Yeah.
In terms of the music,
Mm-hmm.
are we working on something at the moment?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, we have something that's basic. It's done. It's done. So it is about to. Yeah, it's about to start dropping. It's tentative release date here, but hoping for August for the first one. So it's coming. There's going to be a lot of music. My goal is to drop a new song pretty much every month leading up until the new year.
Cool.
So, yeah, there's a bunch.
In terms of music, who haven't you worked with yet that you really should?
Who haven't I worked with? Gosh, Harry Styles.
Yeah.
He's like my dream collab. I think he's so talented and awesome. But
we went to see him live the other day.
He's mind blowing. I got to see him before COVID, and I was just like blown away. And I had never been like a huge One Direction fan. Like I liked One Direction, but like it wasn't.
Well, it's completely different, isn't it? It's
completely I wasn't. Yeah, exactly. And so my friend had invited me to see him live at the Forum. It was like his one night only of his new record. This was right before COVID, literally right before. It's the last big concert I had seen, and he was just so good, all female band. Basically, I think there was like a
other than the guitarist, isn't it?
Yeah. And then he writes his songs with his band, which is badass. They have guitar solos. Like, thank you.
He's a bit of a he strikes me as a bit of an old soul as well. That he kind of
very, yeah.
You know, I think he listens to stuff that's quite old, and he kind of has a you can hear it in his songwriting that there's definitely sort of a nod to the past all of the time.
100%.
Which is great. For me, I've said it once before on this show. I think for me, the one thing that I saw of him doing, which wasn't even his own song, that really kind of woke me up to how great an artist he could be was, I don't know whether you ever saw it, but it was a session where he did Sledgehammer by Peter Gabriel.
Oh, cool. I saw a couple of his covers. I don't know if I saw that one though.
Yeah, and it was just like that's you like that. You know when artists do covers and you think they've been placed with those covers, right? Yeah, and it kind of sounds like it because it's like a half-assed attempt, right? You could tell he actually really loves that song. Yeah.
I love that. That. And it's real. I mean, that's the thing. People respond to that.
Yeah.
There you
So
go.
you've got some exciting new music around the corner.
I do, yeah. So I had released The Awakening Volume 1 back at the end of March, and so this will be Volume 2. So lots of new music, also some fun collabs that are coming too, which will be really
Nice.
cool because I haven't.
Is there going to be anything different in terms of sound for you that we've never heard before?
It'll be, I think, it's not super far off from Volume 2, but it's definitely a little bit of its own evolution for sure. I would say there's a couple edgier songs.
Edgier.
Couple edgier, but at the same time, there's also some really beautiful, again, I'm going to say more cinematic type of songs that kind of take you into like a dreamy world. But I feel like there's a couple a little bit more obvious pop songs, but they still have some really cool like instrumentation going on, some funky combination that like I love.
So we've got to let you go. We've got to let end this so that you can get on with your day. And I thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you.
But we will tag in Harry Styles just in case.
Please.
He's watching, right? and Stevie Nicks, just in case she's listening too. Because what a wonderful combination that would be. So all three of you,
right,
on the same record. Wow.
So I saw Stevie with Harry. So at the Forum, she came out at the end and they sang Landslide. And I'm not kidding you, I was like on the floor. Like my friend and I are both obsessed with Stevie.
Were you not trying to scrabble to get to the stage to go,
Lift
me up, I'll do it with you?
We were, right? I should have. I was too busy crying. And I don't even get starstruck, and I was like sobbing. I was like, this is amazing. That would be,
I guess that would be your absolute dream moment, wouldn't it?
100%, yes.
But thank you so much for coming on today. Thank you for talking to us. The time just slips away so quickly. If people haven't, and I never understand why, but if people haven't heard your music before now, where's a great place for them to start? I'm guessing your website.
Yes, my website. So chloecaroline.com. But also I'm on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter.
Cool. So follow on all of those platforms, but there is a kind of mailing list thing that you can sign up for on the website as well. And that's super.
Yeah, there is. And my number is in my bio. It's on my website, but it's also in my Instagram bio, Twitter bio, TikTok, and you can actually text me. And it is me. It is not a robot. It is me. I see your messages. So
I can confirm. It's not a bot. It's not somebody else doing it. It is Chloe. It is Chloe behind there. She's literally, you can't see it now. She's hiding it very well, but she has actually developed another arm so that she can sit there and do that whilst writing albums, acting and trying to get on TV. Literally the evolution of the modern musician.
Yes, it's pretty accurate, actually.
Chloe, you've been a lot of fun. And your music speaks volumes for itself. So please, folks, if you haven't checked out Chloé Caroline's music yet, please do go and do it. Go and check the website. We'll put the links into this afterwards so that you can go and do it. Do share this with your friends if you've enjoyed it, because ultimately, at the end of the day, artists need your support. It's music doesn't grow on trees, even though you think it does. But it actually takes hours of writing, sweat, rehearsal, time in the studio. All of that costs money, and so they really do need your support. Unfortunately, the little black box that we talk to in the corner of the room doesn't just magically make money for these artists. So
follow on Spotify, it matters.
No. If you've enjoyed this today, thank you. It's been my music. If you haven't enjoyed this, then this has been an instructional video on how to write a lesson on dog control. You can now circulate this video to everybody at Battersea Dogs Home. Until next time, it's been my music. Bye for now.